My name is Michael J. Whelan. I'm a member of the Irish Defence Forces. I'm also a historian and a poet. Okay, so I'm going to read you a poem called Gallipoli. We're in the decade of centenaries in Ireland at the moment, so we're commemorating a lot of historical events surrounding the beginning of the Irish state. So in 2011 I went to Gallipoli in Turkey to visit the battlefields of the First World War, and this poem came out of that visit. Gallipoli, for Tony Rowe, after a visit to the battlefields 2011. Today I stood above the Aegean Sea, listening for echoes I could not hear. The silent tempo of the ground resonates still on unnatural landscapes. The zigzag lines where dead men toil, dug deep into blood-smeared soil, buried now with their bones on beaches and gullies where once they fought the Turk, stormed the shores and hills as if thrown against the wind by Agamemnon himself. The silence bade me look towards Troy, across the straits from Hellas. I still could hear no voice, nor thunder in the sky, except the launching waves pushing ancient pebbles up the beach to rest, where once they drowned the hearts of men. Then, behind me, I could feel it, the noise of peace and echoes of war in 1,000 monuments to the dead, stretched out in marching order. And there, watching me, my shadow took on the spectre of a ghost and spoke. Like Hector, I was the defender, brave and virtuous, but of Irish stock. I am the soldier my country forsook. And in response I said, I have come at last to pay my respects. I have come to take you home. As a member of the Defence Forces, I've served on overseas peacekeeping missions to the Middle East and to the Balkans. So in the mid-1990s I went to South Lebanon, and in year 2000 I went to Kosovo as a peacekeeper. This poem comes out of one of the experiences of the Irish soldiers there, working to help the International Crimes Tribunal to relocate remains from mass graves. Generations. We watch from a great distance across the fields. I imagine them lined up, waiting on plastic sheets, columns of vertebrae, white skulls next to muddy skulls, jackets, trousers, shirts, decomposing shoes, not a combat boot, helmet or gun amongst the rubble of boys and men, fathers, brothers, sons, nephews, uncles, friends, the generations that of a village who succumbed, trapped in this hidden cleansing. Pathologists searched the pits for booby traps, the dead for entry and exit wounds, to prove elevation, direction of shot, if the victim was standing, kneeling, running away. The buried faces have no features, no grimace of pain or fear, but the evidence reveals what happened here. The tracks in the damp soil made 2 years before, how they were herded, corralled by killers, the death march from the road. How their wives, daughters, mothers and sisters were raped, how the mine scars, how arbitrarily justice is executed beneath the cover of a war. The timepiece on the bony wrist, the small toy in the pocket, a smoker's pipe, records the humanity, the spent bullets their last moments, the empty cartridges the planning and chaos. Our trucks carried the innocent to a makeshift morgue, so that in years to come identity might be returned to ghosts drunk on the reverie of loved ones, touching their bodies, the freedom of air.
Very nice, very powerful.
Change book now. Okay, so this poem is called Deliverance. It comes from an experience or multiple experiences of Irish soldiers in Lebanon on the peacekeeping missions there over the years. It references an orphanage there which was kind of looked after by the Irish Battalion. It comes from my first collection, Peacekeeper, which was published by Dura Press in 2016. Deliverance. In the orphanage, a child cowers from cursing men outside. She wants to climb back into her dead mother's womb and hide inside its warm, soft, unedged safety, where no explanation is needed, or reason to hide under splintered staircases, or run the gauntlet to basement bomb shelters, existing minute to minute with strangers, until the dawn arrives with her deliverance, and she refuses to be born. So I'm reading this poem called The Family. It's about Kosovo, and Enda Coyle Green asked me to read it especially for this festival. So here goes. The Family, Kosovo. There were 9 of them, 8 children under the age of 10, existing in the rough shell of a house with a hole in its roof, and a young mother whose sanity had run out. I stood there in the bowel of her existence, slack-jawed in the middle of that frozen room, rifle under my arm. It was Christmas time at home. How do I sort this out? No one can threaten hunger with bullets. Tiny hands were in my pockets. I gave her my watch. Okay. So the last one now. This one's called Broken Spade. You lay in your frozen field, slack-jawed at how you came to be there. Your mouth caked in last year's mud. Limbs twisted about your body as if in the midst of some remembered dance, or tempered at your rotting crops. Bent over in disgust, yielding in the half-light and startled at the cold they have never felt. This harvest, unreaped and yet reaped upon you, hides the stale shoe and crushed spectacles, the broken spade that hastily covered you in the soft clay you loved, now steeled hard against the sharp sky. I imagine the fears of your kin as they searched the high golden horizon that summer day. They might have felt the distant calamity that took you, following the bullet casings along the beaten track. And I wonder if they found you. Then I see the scars of cluster bombs and scorched stalks of your petrified labours, and there in the shrapnel of this bitter harvest, I behold your seed, torn apart, but reaching out to the one who bore them. So the first 2 poems I read are from my most recent collection, Rules of Engagement, which was published by Dura Press in 2019. And the poems touch on my experiences of Lebanon and Kosovo, but also my family experiences and my Defence Forces life and experiences. So the other 3 poems are from my first published collection, which is Peacekeeper, published again by Dura Press in 2016. And all the poems in this collection are about my experiences and the experience of Irish citizens on Irish United Nations and peace enforcement missions in Lebanon and Kosovo. And it's broken into 2 parts, and this poem is about both missions. I'd also like to say thank you to Enda Coyle Green and to Ernestine and all the people involved in this festival for inviting me along to read. I feel very privileged, and thank you very much.